If your drawings are still flat and you haven't figured out perspective yet, you're in luck. We're starting the perspective section of my Drawing Basics course, and that means there's a lot of perspective stuff coming up. So make sure you're subscribed. As always, a lot of these lessons are gonna be free, but if you want the complete experience with all of the projects and the demos and the critique videos and the extended lessons, you can join at any time at proko.com/drawing. Simply put, perspective allows us to represent a three-dimensional world on a two-dimensional surface, like this paper, and do so in a way that looks correct to the viewer. Perspective is all about creating an illusion of depth. Perspective isn't just for drawing cityscapes and other geometric structures. We can apply perspective to organic things like people and animals and trees to make them look more convincing and feel like they're in a 3D world. Our body might be made of complicated, soft, round bumps, but they follow the same principles as these simple boxes. All the parts of the body are being deformed in the same way that a box is deformed when it's drawn in perspective. So, boxes. A huge focus of intuitive perspective is visualizing everything as a box. And that's because a box is the simplest representation of a form in 3D. A box describes all three dimensions with its three axes. The y-axis shows up and down, the x-axis shows left and right, the z-axis shows forward and backward. We're gonna learn how to draw boxes in 1, 2, and 3-point perspectives. These are three different methods. In all these methods, we're still considering all three axes. So even though it's 1-point perspective, you're gonna see the y-axis, the x-axis, and the z-axis, but only one of those axes will converge to a vanishing point somewhere in the distance. The other axes will be parallel, non-converging lines. That's why it's called 1-point perspective. Still three-dimensional, just that only one of those dimensions is converging to a point. With 2-point perspective, we converge a second axis towards a vanishing point, and we keep the third axis parallel, usually the vertical y-axis. With 3-point perspective, now all three axes converge toward their vanishing points. If that was too fast or you're confused about when to use the three different methods, don't worry. I'm going to cover all of this slowly in the next several lessons. My goal for this course is to teach you a few key skills and some tricks along the way. I want you to be able to tumble boxes and cylinders, be able to draw them from any angle. I want you to be able to build complex things from simple primitives. I want you to naturally build structure while considering the gesture. Just gesture on its own, you get noodle people. Just structure on its own, you get robot people. Gesture plus structure together, you get people. So we gotta be able to manipulate the forms. Think of them as soft primitives. Bloating, twisting, pinching, bending, all kinds of deformations. And finally, I want this to be intuitive for you. You shouldn't have to plot vanishing points. We'll learn just enough. With perspective, there's a mathematical precision and an artistic intuition. In this course, we're gonna learn a small amount of the math, just enough to understand how to approach it with intuition. If you plan on being an architect or an industrial designer, you'll need to go much further into the technical side to be able to get this level of accuracy. On the other hand, if you plan on doing something more along the lines of illustration, concept art, fine art, I believe that the better approach is to start by learning the 20% of the theory that will give you 80% of the effect. That is, your drawings are believable enough. The artists we think of as perspective masters of our day, they say that they learned perspective by repeatedly drawing what they see. Kim Jong-il, Peter Han, Rembert Montalde, these artists don't shoot for 100% accuracy. They focus on making their drawings interesting and exciting. The perspective is close enough to trick the eyes to believe it. So the second chunk of perspective lessons will be heavy on fun projects to help you practice visualizing perspective and make it intuitive. I hope you're as excited as I am to jump into perspective and make your drawings 3D. And if you're finally ready to get that premium version of the Drawing Basics course, that's at proko.com/drawing. We've already learned how to control line weight, the power of tapering sketchy lines, and how to develop confident line quality habits. We've covered shape, including accurate proportions, dynamic and interesting shapes, and how rhythms can help you draw better poses. Many of the students have told me that they've never improved as fast as they are in this course. So come on in, join the community, and support the production of more free lessons. Again, that's at proko.com/drawing. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.